Hello, welcome back. So today I thought of just starting with the new album a little bit here of Aurora, the Gods We Can Touch. I think that's what it's called. Anyway, this is the first song, so I thought I'd start with that. Obviously, I wanted to do more. Um, it's a funny thing because the more videos I do of Aurora, the less views I'm getting. So, and I know that I'm having some difficulty with the channel, with the views and the algorithm, and I don't know what's going on. I might have something to do with the membership program or not. I have no idea. They're still looking into different things here from YouTube. I haven't heard back, but. Yeah, so hopefully I like I said, because I went through a period of time where I got to know a little bit of what Aurora was about and so on, and it slowed down my channel, slowed down the algorithm, slowed down a lot of things. And but I still don't regret doing that because I got to know a little bit about her before I started listening to her songs. And I think after that, I was hooked, and I found her songs very touching, and much more touching that way, as opposed to jumping right in. I don't know how other people do that, but I'm glad that I did it that way. But albeit, I'm having trouble getting the views, so I feel bad for her because I want to sort of promote her, but I'm not. I don't know if I'm doing a good job here, but anyway. So let's get going with the first song of her new album. Like I said, I think it was inspired by Gaia, the goddess Gaia, from my understanding. So here we go. It's called the Forbidden Fruits of Eden. Gaia, the Forbidden Fruits of Eden. I don't know. Oh. What's happening here? Okay, hold on. Okay, so that basically jumped. It ended quickly. So that was only like 40 seconds or so from what I saw. Okay, so that's 40 seconds for Gaia. She cracks me up, this girl. I think I would prefer like I thought Heathens was Gaia, was the god. She was inspired by Gaia, the goddess Gaia, as opposed to Persephone. I believe that was the goddess that she chose. But Persephone is also, I think the translation of that name is bringer of destruction or something like that. It's funny how we see things in different ways too, But Persephone, from what I remember in the Homer poem, I think it was the Iliad. Yeah, Persephone became the wife. Yeah, sort of like the wife of Hades. And Hades was a brother of Zeus, and he was sort of given to the realm of the underworld, sort of to govern. And Hades, he sort of he wasn't crazy about the position, but Poseidon god, the ocean, obviously, right? That was the other brother of Zeus. So Hades, what he did is at one point he was traveling, I don't know, with his, traveling with his horse, what's it called, the chariot, on the fields of, I think, near Mount Etna, near Sicily or something. And basically, he saw this beautiful girl, and there's always the stories. There's a lot of stories that start with the most beautiful girl, whatever. And it was Persephone. Persephone is actually the daughter of Zeus. And anyway, he was attracted to her, and he wanted to sort of take her and bring, basically kidnap her, type of thing, away and so on. But he didn't, because it was the brother, his brother Zeus would not have been that crazy about it. So he asked Zeus if he could have her as his wife and so on, and Zeus sort of like, because his own wife said no, and so he didn't know what to do. He didn't do anything. So his brother Hades, he just took her one day away and brought her to the underworld with him, and she became his sort of bride, and she sort of, I guess, got accustomed to the position, and she became, the queen of the underworld. Yeah, I guess maybe that's where she picked up the idea of heathens, because I guess the underworld was full of people of that nature, she meaning Aurora. Yeah, that's what I like about Aurora. She is, she's done the positive. She sees things she's sort of seen, and I get the feeling she's seen the negative life, and she wants to stay on the positive. And I think that's smart of her, and that's good of her. I'm older, much older, and I'm more on the cynical side of things, which is sad. But, I see things somewhat differently. But I like the way she sees things, and she sort of inspires, through hope, which is sort of funny because, as I mentioned a long time ago, one of the penalties or the punishments that Zeus had put against man because of something else that had occurred was to give man women. Well, the first woman, and it was Pandora. And then also giving her Pandora's box, and telling Pandora, after giving her as one of her characteristics being very curious, being a woman, he also gave her a box and told her, don't open the box, knowing very well that she was going to open it. And when she opened it, it was full of all these terrible things that would destroy the human species. But she tried to close it, and there's only one thing that she was able to stop from escaping the box. All the pestilence, everything else, death, and everything else came out of the box, to afflict the human species. But the one thing that stayed in the box was hope. And that's why human beings still have hope, to sort of rely on. And I think Aurora is like that. Yeah. Anyway, so so I sort of deviated somewhat here, but the Gaia for me represents a lot more, and I think the song Heathens, I like that because I like it for Gaia, because we're behaving like heathens on a planet that is all giving and loving, in many ways, and supporting us, and we're destroying it. So that's how I saw it. Yeah. She became a goddess. So the one person that I thought one of these songs was going to be inspired by, and I have a feeling that maybe Aurora did not come across this particular character. Her name was Psyche, like our psyche, you know, which I think ultimately is the thing that has to change in order for the human race to survive. You know, that's the idea behind what I try to do in the sense of my book, to point out the type of psychological revolution, change the human psyche from the self-centered behavior to a loving behavior. But the transformation is so dramatic that I don't know. That's where I become cynical. Because it's such a leap that anyway, and what do I want to say? So Psyche, this particular person, that story is so fascinating because the story of Psyche is very much like a mixture of Cinderella and the Beauty and the Beast. Not Cinderella, sorry, Sleeping Beauty and Beauty and the Beast. Both beauties, you know, because she gets awakened by a kiss, you know, from Eros, because she does have here, from my understanding, because I sort of read it through, she had an interview or something where she named all the different gods of the different songs or something like that, and one of them was Eros, I believe, right? And Eros was in charge. What happened is Psyche was this woman, one of three daughters of this king. They're always not daughters of kings and so on. And she was the most stunning of the three daughters, and the youngest. And no one seemed to have the courage to ask for her hand in marriage because she was so stunning. She rivaled Aphrodite in beauty. And Aphrodite didn't like that, being a goddess. She didn't want a human being to sort of like, hey, you know, people are starting to worship her as opposed to me, right? So she got jealous, like all the gods do in mythology. And so she told Eros, who was sort of like a god, but not the high god, but sort of like a lower level god. And she told, and his thing was that he basically was like Cupid, you know, he'd go around with a golden arrow and a lead arrow, and if he wanted to make someone's heart cold, speaking of Valentine's and all that, he would send the he would spear them. He would, what are they called? He would use his bow and arrow to project the arrow to the lead arrow, and that would make the person cold, have a cold heart towards the other person, meaning they wouldn't fall in love. But the golden arrow, well, they would fall in love, and you know, they'd do anything for the person. But he sort of like when he saw Psyche, the woman, he was so stunned by her beauty that he fell, he tripped, and he speared himself with the golden arrow. So he became, you know, he fell completely in love with her. And from that point on, there was like different things had happened, you know, but the thing is, he couldn't really be with her because he's a god, right? And they don't mix well, gods and human beings, in the sense of long-term relationships. You know? Because a human being, if they actually see the god as what they are, then they die or something happens really bad, you know. So he met her. Well, she was supposed to end up with some ugly guy like the Beast, you know, a beastly guy. They had set her up for that, you know, through an oracle. That anyway, whatever. And so that's what she does. That's what she thought. Psyche ended. She thought like, okay, I just got swept away by this monster, right? And so she was afraid, but at the same time, the monster, supposedly, was so nice to her that she fell in love with him, but never seeing him, you know, his face and so on. But they had amorous relationship and so on. But then one night, she, because of something else that happened, she became curious, and she lit a candle, and she saw him, who it was or what it was about, and it was this beautiful guy, and it was Eros. So she was stunned and so on. But at the same time, she destroyed their relationship by doing that, because she had promised, and he had asked her that she would never look at him, you know, and that fell apart. And then so he sort of fled away, and she was so heartbroken that Psyche went to, she tried everything, you know, to get back his love, you know. And then she even tried to commit suicide, but she was too beautiful to die, sort of thing. And so what happened? What happened to her? So she ended up basically at a certain point, to make the long story longer, she basically ends up actually having to go. Aphrodite asked her to go and get to go and present Persephone. Okay, getting back to Persephone, go and ask Persephone to have some of her beauty, you know, as a gift, and bring back to Aphrodite. And that's what it was a trap, right? So Aphrodite sent her Psyche to do that. So Psyche went to Persephone in the underworld to get this flask filled with some of Persephone's beauty. Persephone did it. She did give her some of her beauty, because she was like surprised that Aphrodite would even want it. You know, she was like sort of like happy about it. You know, thinking that it was like a positive gesture, a compliment. You know. And then when Psyche tried to leave the underworld, before leaving, she thought, you know what? Maybe I can use some of the beauty, the beauty in the vasque, that Persephone provided, to get back her love, Eros. And that was what the trap was. So she opened the canister and she drank it or whatever. And what happened is, because she did that, she was captured in the underworld and she died. You know, and yeah, I think that's it. She died or she stayed there. I can't remember exactly. She had to stay in the underworld. No, I think she died. You know, and what happened is Eros found out, and he was so heartbroken. He went to Zeus and he says, "You can't do that. I'm in love with her." Whatever, you know. And Zeus understood that, and he brought Psyche back to life. And not only that, but made her a goddess. You know, he gave her ambrosia from Mount Olympus, from the gods, and she became a goddess, and her and Eros became inseparable as lovers, you know, and as a couple. And even Aphrodite gave up, because she saw that it was something that she could not compete against. And I think that's the only happy ending that I remember in all of these mythological stories of relationships and love, you know. So I thought that's one of the characters that I think that Aurora would have been touched by, but I have a feeling she didn't come across that story. I'd love to ask her. Oh my God, I really went off on a tangent. I don't know what this song is. So let me see. Maybe I'll play it and see how this goes.
I'm driving your car with you, sleeping in the seat next to me like a baby. You twist and you turn, you are traveling fast like a bird in a dream. Look at it go, look at it dance over the sky like a rocket. A love machine, a cinematic dream, so pure, and it hurts when the beauty is lost in the speed, 'cause everything matters to me.
I love love her style, you know. She does, and I love these things. Actually, these beautiful lyric with the stars, and I get to read the lyrics, which is really nice, I find.
To me, you're a part of the dawn, where the light comes from the dark. You're a part of the morning, and everything matters. And we are an atom and a star. You're a part of the movement, and everything matters.
She's great. Just
I'm watching a storm turn into form in the clouds of the world, like a burst. It dances and it twirls on top of the world. It is good and it hurts. Look at it go, look at it dance over the sky like a rocket. A teacher, a simulated dream, a cure for the hurt, and the pleasure you feel is real. You're a part of the dawn, where the light comes from the dark. You're a part of the morning, and everything matters. And we are an atom and a star. You're a part of the movement, and everything matters.
Oh, I noticed that there's sort of like the echo of her voice, you know, that she's using here. It's interesting.
Quelque part avant l'aube, quand la lumière veut nous voir, quelque part dans le monde, un oiseau s'endort sans bruit. Toi et moi, dans la nuit, on trouvera quelque part où déposer les fleurs qu'on accueille. Part avant l'aube, quand la lumière veut nous voir, quelque part dans le monde, un oiseau s'endort sans bruit. Toi et moi, dans la nuit, on trouvera quelque part où déposer les fleurs qu'on accueille. Part avant l'aube, quand la lumière veut nous voir, quelque part dans le monde, un oiseau s'endort sans bruit. Toi et moi, dans la nuit, on trouvera.
Oh, c'est très beau. Very soft, very nice. Well, I like this. And I believe if I am correct, I don't know, but I think this has to do with Atlas, right? The god Atlas. So it's not a goddess, right? You know, you picture Atlas, he's carrying the world, type of thing. Everything matters. Yeah. Anyway, hopefully this was okay. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Bye. Hello. I just wanted to make a couple of minor adjustments to the video. So I'm injecting these a couple of different things, you know, that I wanted to say. The one is that I forgot to say. One is that when I was speaking of Psyche, the story of Psyche, and I mentioned that the arrows fell on his golden arrow. Well, that golden arrow was meant for. I forgot to mention this. Was meant for Psyche. She was supposed to fall in love with this beastly creature that Aphrodite had sort of picked for her to live the rest of her life with, in the sense that she would fall in love with this horrible person, not just visually, but just a terrible human being. And that was how Aphrodite wanted to penalize her, punish her for being so beautiful, that she matched Aphrodite's own beauty. So, and that's the arrow that Eros accidentally fell upon, you know, the golden arrow that was meant for her to fall in love with someone else, but instead he fell in love with her. and then she and when she was swept away, without knowing who it was, she was brought to this beautiful castle and everything. She really all alone, and she didn't know what was happening, or she didn't know how things were going to be with this beastly guy, right? And but she never saw him because he was always hidden away, like sort of like Beauty and the Beast, story that we know about. And then later on, as I explained, he figured that things happened that she finds out that it's arrows and so on, which I explained. But yeah, I just wanted to make sure that that I injected that part of the story that I forgot. And the other point is that I sort of wanted to, it occurred to me after I finished the video recording, is that in this song, Everything Matters, which was the second song that I looked at, there was a forward, or there was a part of it that was sang by Palm, another singer, right, that I mentioned that I saw briefly with Aurora, like an interview or something that she mentioned. And what I find interesting is because the first song was the forbidden fruit or something, right? That referred to Gaia. And Palm, in English means apple. The forbidden fruit being the apple, right? That from the tree of knowledge, from the Garden of Eden, right? Which the apple always has a certain reference in mythology in some way or another, including Greek mythology, now that I think about it. Because there was an apple of discord in Greek mythology, and that was meant to make people sort of discord, fight against each other. It was a golden apple or something. It's funny how apples get such a bad rap. Actually, in my book, I do make reference to the Garden of Eden story and the forbidden fruit, but in my case, I chose not the apple. I chose the fig tree, because to me, it always made more sense, the fig tree, than it does the apple. Because like when after they committed the atrocity of eating the fruit, when they weren't supposed to, Adam and Eve, and they became self-aware, self-conscious, and then they covered themselves up. They used fig leaves, right, to do so. So where'd they get the fig leaves? I figured from a fig tree. So that's where, at least I know that there was a fig tree, and that's why I associate it with the fruit being the fig, And I do speak about that, but from a different perspective. The whole idea of the Garden of Eden and the forbidden fruit and so on. So it's quite different from Aurora's perspective, I think. I think it's sort of I think most people will be surprised from the point of view of where I'm coming from, in the book. Sort of a unique interpretation of what it actually represented, that story. That's about it. So this was my intervention on my on my video. Thank you for your patience. Bye.